Okay, great. Hi. So welcome back to Plants, Painting, and Poetry. So we are moving on to our next artist and our next theme. So we're going to be looking at Cindy Rhine's art. Cindy Rhine is a fantastic fiber artist, and so she takes vintage fabric, found fabric, saved fabric, beloved fabric, anything with texture, and puts it together. Usually hand sews, hand stitches, or machine stitches it all together, like stitches different textures together to make a story. And on top of that, she's a poet, so she's like perfect for plants, painting, and poetry. I have hair like in my mouth, and I can't okay, that's awkward, but now it's not in my mouth, so that's good. Cindy Rhine also is like kind of her main focus is on like spiritual magic, mythology. She's really steeped in mythology, and Cindy and I, like, Cindy is very sweet. She's like, we have a lot in common, and I think that's very true. I think we do have magic in common, but the types of magic that we like are maybe just a little bit different. Like, I do believe that Cindy is into deep magic, right? Like the magic of the spirit, where I'm really kind of into hustles, sleight of hand, and trickery. I'm a strong believer in the art of trickery. And I think, honestly, every poem is just a trick, the best kind of trick, right? So that's why we have this lesson today, metonymy magic. So our new series is magic, myth, and texture. And we're going to kind of see how those things play out together in poetry and art. Okay, so let's start. Happy Friday! It's time for our first magic, myth, and texture Friday. Okay, so with textures, I was like looking at sort of like the elemental things, right? That goes into like deep magic and myth. And so I divided it up into the 4 elements. So we have fire, air, earth, I think we're going to go to, and then water. So we're going to go fire, air, earth, and water. So we're going to do like a whole little clock of lessons from Friday to Friday. So we're going to start off with fire. So the thing to think about with deep magic is it's very sensory. It's very much about like the elements, you know what I mean? So for this Friday, maybe just focus on this idea of fire. But we're going to add on another layer to this, which is metonymy magic. So metonymy is when a poet refers to something by one of its characteristics rather than its name. So instead of saying the king, you say crown. Instead of saying hot older man, you say silver foxes. Instead of saying, what's another good one? Instead of saying writing, you say pen. Instead of saying military force, you say sword, right? So it's one thing, one emblem that sort of represents the whole. And then some people consider synecdoche, I can never say that word right. I love it so much, especially when I say it right, synecdoche. Some consider synecdoche to be a type of metonymy. I love those 2 words together. So synecdoche is part for the whole, which is also something that I really love. So when someone says nice wheels, they're not talking about your wheels. They're usually talking about your car, right? All right. So with this idea of synecdoche and metonymy, we're going to break this down into 4 elements and 4 different types of magic. So for this week, we're working on stage magic. And what I want you to think about with stage magic is stage magic usually includes the use of an assistant, right? So it's large-scale magic, which means the magician usually needs someone at his side to help pull off the magic trick. A secret keeper, right? A person that is in on the hustle, that can like either divert attention while something is going on over here, or do something over here, when the magician is actually pulling off a trick over here, right? Like, I love this, like part to the whole, right? And so I was thinking with fire and the art of metonymy, like, let's talk about fire, but let's talk about the metonymy of fire. So instead of the flame, let's think about the heat. Instead of the flame, let's think about the smoke. And so if fire were to have assistants, I would say their assistants would be heat, light, and smoke. So in this case, let's like really focus on the smoke, because smoke is such an interesting moving force in the world, right? So what secrets will smoke tell us about fire? So this is my first prompts for you. So each week, for some reason, this week I was like, everyone needs two. You need a choice. So you can choose between one or the other, or you could do both. So the first thing that I want to challenge you guys to is, what secrets will smoke tell us about fire? And I want you to like really pay attention to this word will, right? Because the magic of fire, the assistant, it's smoke, is willing to tell you some secrets, but maybe not others. And so what might be really interesting is a persona poem, right, where the character is metonymy. It's the smoke to the flame or smoke to the fire, right? So two parts to this poem. Maybe you'll have a poem with two columns, and in one column is what smoke is willing to tell you, and maybe the other column is what smoke is unwilling to tell you. But maybe in the unwilling to tell, the smoke only speaks in metonymy. It only names the parts of something rather than the whole thing, like wheels to a car, right? Nice wheels. Or maybe, let's see, maybe it also like has stand-in language where it doesn't actually name the thing but names a characteristic of it. So that's your first prompt. Second option is, again, parts to a whole. So even a flame divides up into sections, right? Into little parts. So you can do that with anything. You can take any element, any person, anything that the world is made up of parts, right? Like atoms, molecules, all that other stuff, right? So maybe you could break down one thing into all its many parts and see what the parts have to tell you about the whole. And that is our Friday number 1, you guys. So good luck. Are we, do we?
Of course, I got the Joker. It has nothing on it.
Did you really?
Yeah.